That hurt. More verticality. Recording in progress. All right. Welcome to the Straight Red Card. Got a lot of things to talk about and tonight. But before we start that, so remember we were talking about Arcade Fire, the other show?
Yes.
Guess who was on SNL this Saturday?
Who the fuck watches SNL still?
Hey, I did because Arcade Fire was on there. So
you could have just got the YouTube clip of it, man.
I don't know. There wasn't one. It was live. I watched it live. So, and actually, it wasn't that. It had Cumberbatch on there, and the show wasn't horrible. I have to say, it wasn't great either. But you know, hey, no one's perfect. Also, man, did I have a weekend full of Danica Patrick. Not only did she host the Miami Grand Prix, she was one of the hosts, which was a fairly boring race up until the very end. Those street circuits can be really, really boring. And there was just no one could pass. And if you got off the line, you went into this little marble shit and you crashed, or no one did. They just stayed on the line. So, see, they've been on there multiple times, and I don't feel like fishing through all that to find out which one's the 2020.
Literally look at the days and the hours.
Sometimes that's true, but I watched it. I was on Dave Chappelle's YouTube page, and yes, I am feeling better. Thank you. And he had a supposed live show on. So I clicked on it like an idiot. And of course, it was a replay of some interview he did like 2 years ago. And I'm like, what the hell is that? That's not live. How can that be live? It's not. I'm sorry, Derek, but I'd rather listen to the turd talk to me about Gregg Berhalter for an hour than watch SNL. Yeah, it's been bad. There's no doubt about it. It's not your grandparents' SNL. I'll tell you that much.
It's not our SNL.
Well, there were times when I was in college when SNL was pretty funny.
That's what I'm saying.
They used to go after everybody. It was hilarious.
No, I dig the 90s. The 90s were great.
Yeah.
Even the late 80s were okay. Like the late 80s.
Did a lot of gag stuff. It was funny. The Adam Sandler days were good. I liked some of the skits in the ones from like 5 to 10 years ago, right? Who are the guys that sing Dick in a Box? Thought that was pretty
Lonely Island Boys.
Yeah. So I like that. I like that stuff. But yeah, since then it's just kind of nosedive.
And that's not to say that they won't have a good skit here or there.
They do.
I just not going to dedicate an hour to watch it and just sit there and go,
I mean, yeah, it's sad. But anyhow, then I got in this Danica Patrick thing when I went to her podcast, which is
Patrick's thing. What?
I got into this thing where I started watching some of her blogs podcasts that I miss, and she had this great show with this yogi on, Indian god, and man, it was really in depth. It was all about consciousness and memories and. It's like, damn, I didn't know that Danica was, but then, she is into yoga, right? And then I found out she's into, certain religions too, Indian religions. So
didn't talking about her yoga sessions spark the whole naked yoga thing on YouTube?
No.
Like us talking about it?
No, those were separate conversations, actually.
I thought they were joining. We talked about yoga. And I'm like, yeah, you just watch naked yoga on YouTube. I mean, that must have been when we talked about porn. Like, yeah, I don't really want to go to porn sites, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, just watch naked yoga on YouTube.
I thought Brett was going to go topless for this one.
This is my first drink, Al, so we'll see. We'll see what happens.
I don't think that's appropriate.
We already list the show as not appropriate for kids, so.
That's true. And we do honesty in an honest way with YouTube tell them there's cursing in the show, so they know. So they don't have to really,
That's why.
they don't have to check us out too bad. But before we get to the main topic, what about Miles Robinson's injury?
Oof.
It looked like it could be pretty serious, is what they're
Oh,
saying.
they went on. They did surgery. It's a ruptured Achilles tendon, isn't it? Yeah. No, he's totes out and he's out for the World Cup.
He knew it.
That sucks. And I mean, disregarding what some people might think of Miles Robinson, it sucks that somebody who busted his ass for the last half year during qualifier, or almost a year, I guess now, won't make it into the World Cup because of an injury he suffered in an MLS game. And I'm sure, obviously, I don't think anybody's relishing in the injury by any means, even if you don't like him as a player or think he has too many, downsides. But now the big question is, I mean, who do we got in our depth? Because I feel like if Gregg's talking about trying a 3-4-3, we're looking at least 5 center backs come World Cup. Don't you think?
Yep. I mean, this might slightly crack the door, you would think, rationally, for Brooks, but I don't think so. There's something, and we've talked about it so many times here. I'm not going to be a broken record. There's something not right between those two. So
I think Brian just stumbled across naked yoga on YouTube.
yeah, I didn't believe it either, Brian. But
so yeah, going back to it. I mean, obviously, do you want to, let's just list who we think is going to be the 5.
I'd like to request that Danica Patrick gets into naked yoga.
Start commenting on her podcast.
Yeah, I should do that
somewhere.
Yeah, I should do that. What does she want with a 50-year-old man like me? Anyhow, what were you saying?
Let's go over the top 5 center backs at this point, because we just talked about Miles Robinson being out for the World Cup. We're already looking at an alternative option, and we don't even know if Richards. I mean, we're hoping Richards will be back and ready come World Cup. I mean, we got
he should be fine by then.
6 months, so hopefully he should be fine.
Unless he gets injured again. I mean,
well, that's the thing. It could be a recurring issue. We saw with Gio. We're seeing it. We can see with other people too.
Right.
So, but as it stands, let's just go over our top 5. I mean,
we know who one is.
Zimmerman.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah.
So who plays next to Zimmerman? And I'm trying to get in Gregg's brain. You would think it's either Long or Richards.
If Richards is healthy, I'm going with Richards.
Yeah, I would too.
Ooh, you know what? This actually runs right into another topic as well, so I'm just going to get that prepped and ready, okay?
Okay, and then Long.
Again, guys, this is just us diving into the head of Berhalter.
Yeah, well, there's no point in us giving you us our favorite 5. Who fucking cares? Because it would be different, and it would be slightly different. It would include Brooks, but I don't think it's going to. And I think your EPB and McKenzie are 4 and 5, in your depth, and they may not get to play much, but they're going to be there in the World Cup.
I guess it depends on how CCV does this June window,
or if
he might find his way in there.
Or if Miles has a miraculous recovery before the World Cup, which, I don't know if anybody's known anyone that's had a ruptured Achilles, but look how long it took Kevin Durant to come back from that. Long time.
Mm-hmm.
A year. He missed a whole season with the Nets, right? So, how, depending on how bad it is, it's bad enough for surgery. So, yeah, it's bad. And it's going to be a while. He's going to miss it. Wouldn't be my 5. I'd include Brooks, but 3 ounces of tequila, 2 ounce lime juice, 2 ounce simple syrup, 1/2 OJ, 1/2 cupped serrano pepper. What? Pepper? Shake it up and strain it into a salted rim glass. If you have tequila,
weird. You got to add the serrano pepper in there after you added the simple syrup, which at least the simple syrup we make includes a handful of jalapenos.
So it would be sweet and it would be spicy, right? That's what this is all about, because that's an interesting mix. The thing that confuses me on that one's the OJ. And is this...
it's a little different, yeah.
So we're going to call that drink the Rob Specht when we get it. So $4.99.
So,
Thanks, Rob.
I mean, outside of the OJ and the chopped up serrano pepper, the other three ingredients is a drink we drink at this house.
You just don't put the peppers in.
No, we put a lot more tequila in it.
A lot more. Yeah, I have a whole list of martinis. It's like I have a book, and it has like 150 different martinis in it. So I haven't made a martini in forever, or a tequila drink. So I should, but these days, just give me some orange juice and some vodka, and I'm ready to roll. But we drink here, but simply, except when I have good beer. Oh, which reminds me, I probably need to put this in recycling. It's been here since the last show I drank it. All right.
So Al, I'm just highlighting you since you're in here. He says Cam Akers was back in 6 months. I'm assuming that's in reference to an Achilles heel rupture surgery. Regardless, if Robinson is back in 6 months after that, would you want to take him?
Yeah, because he wouldn't have played any games because the World Cup is in 6 months. Yeah,
I mean that's an incredibly quick turnaround, and then throwing him into a World Cup scenario. Oof, I wouldn't trust that slightest.
And
go ahead. Sorry,
there's a possibility that CCV could work himself into this top 5 too.
Sure, but especially it depends on what happens this summer.
Every time I'm ready to give up on McKenzie, he gets 2 games in a row and he starts. So I'm like, what the hell? But I think it's because they know they're going to lose Lucimi at Genk. They know it. So they're like, let's just start playing McKenzie because he's going to be our number 1 guy next season since we're losing, our regular starter, one regular starter at center back at Genk. So that might be the case. I haven't got a chance to watch his Genk games, the last 2 that he's played. So I don't know how he did, but at least he's playing again. But I could see CCV having a really good experience in camp and then knocking McKenzie off of it. And EPB's playing in a better, league than McKenzie, and in a better league, but not on a better team, maybe, than CCV. So there's that. Michael Giannone.
I'm pretty sure it's pronounced Michel.
Michel Giannone. It's very small. I'm sorry. It's very hard to see. U.S. men's national team CB depth chart at the moment. He forgot to put according to Greg is what you're saying here.
Yeah. I wanted to bring this up because Al had a little run-in with him. He said, fuck this dude.
Well, you got to put according to Gregg Berhalter.
Yep.
Not if you don't make that distinction, people are going to think that's what you think.
Exactly. That's the problem with Twitter. At least here on live or doing shows, you can make that little caveat in there and throw that in there. When you have 200 some odd characters and you fail to put in this, hey, I'm channeling my inner Berhalter here, people will start thinking that you really think Long should be number 3.
That's why so many people think
at 4.
Sometimes Heath Pierce and Jimmy Conrad are insane. They're like, what the hell are these guys talking about? There's no way that's going to happen because they fail to say this is us or this is according to Greg. You got to say that. And at this point, I've said it 1,000 times, there's no point in doing your own Disneyland lineup and roster because it doesn't make a difference. Greg's not going to read my imaginary roster and go, oh, that Derek Ritchie guy, I got to listen to him. All right.
No, we found out in the ESPN FC interview that Berhalter just shuts away all that noise. And that's what we are, guys. We're just noise.
That's what he did say, right?
Yeah. It was kind of set on a platter by the dude interviewing him. What was his name?
Oh fuck! Now
Scott
I just
something or something. Scott.
Scott. Oh God.
Well, he was just like, Greg. Now, when you're in the middle of qualifying and everything, you're kind of like a lightning rod for a lot of hatred and a lot of criticism. And how do you deal with that noise? Just that noise. I'm like, that noise? What?
Oh, that's what Scott said.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
I'm just like, noise, really?
It's the guy who hosts late night on ESPN.
Yeah.
And why you choose that guy, and at least that guy asked some hard questions, as hard as he could, knowing what he knows about the U.S. soccer, which is very little. Like, okay,
it's what he's gleaned off his buddy Tillman.
He could, yeah, he said that actually.
I know.
He said, yeah,
I watched it.
But why wasn't Twellman there? Why wasn't Twellman there? Why is Twellman hosting ESPN Center now and not doing soccer stuff? I don't get it. I don't know. Maybe he needs the money. But the point is that you have plenty of people who could be hell. I would enjoy Gregg Berhalter interviewing. Because that would be a surly Gregg Berhalter interview. He'd ask some really hard questions, although that's not really his thing. But even Seb would have been great, or Hercules. But he's such a pussy. He's got to do it with Scott. I mean, really, another guy that doesn't know soccer, so the questions are going to be fairly general. But at least Scott sat down with Twellman and said, hey, what should I ask this guy in this commercial? I mean, in this interview, because those were the harder ones, because Twellman said, yeah, he's getting a lot of hate and he gets a lot of criticism. So ask him about that. Just make sure you call it noise.
Well, the question would be would it have been any better if Tillman was interviewing him? Because, I mean, at this point, Berhalter could come in and at least answer some relatively general questions about everything. And
he'd go light on him, so I prefer Hercules Gomez or Seb.
Sure. No, I agree with that 100%.
Or even Lawless, because Lawless will, ask some tough ones. Unexpected tough ones.
Can't be on ESPN, though.
Yeah, I mean, you could see Greg's face on some of those questions. He was like, oh, shit, I didn't see that bomb coming. And, he adjusted, pulled his face together. It's not hard because his face doesn't move much sometimes. But his head does. Like, gets a question he doesn't like. It's always... All right, let me answer the question. Okay, my clitoris. Yeah, keep that to yourself. Tight shirts takes are so hot they shrink his shirts. Yes. What are we doing?
Oh, man.
So anyhow, the bottom line is CCV could sneak his way in, but if you're looking at what Gregg's probably going to do, like maybe the door's cracked open for Brooks, but I mean, it's probably not. It would rationally seem that it should be, but it is not.
Well, his previous interview, not the one on ESPN, but his previous interview, he said that, well, if I had to choose between looking at CCV this window or Brooks, I'm going to pick CCV because I already know what I'm going to get from Brooks. Well, now that we have another opening at center back,
he knows what he's going to get from Brooks, and it's those 7 things he thinks Brooks needs to work on.
No.
That's what he said.
We're
not in that interview, but earlier interview.
We're looking at a severely depleted center back options here. And not, mind you, again, we're not playing difficult competition in the Nations League. Yes.
Severely depleted because we lost one guy?
Well, we don't know if Richards will be back. So now,
he'll be back.
He'll
be back. His injury's not that serious.
We'll see. It's possible. I mean, Berhalter even said that if he's healthy, he'll play. He'll call him in. I'm just saying, I'm playing devil's advocate here until I see that he's back and ready. I don't know. The depletedness comes out if you're looking at just our qualifiers. You're looking at Zimmerman, and then possible McKenzie, who's played a couple games here.
Well, there are other options in MLS too. So
sure, you're going to be gambling with Long has experience. We'll give him that with Berhalter, but then again after that, I figured Long was going to be included in the 5 anyways. So again, assuming if Richards is there, you're really only replacing Miles at that point.
Who plays next to Zimmerman in Nashville? Is that another American? I thought it was Romney. I might be wrong.
I don't know.
There are other options. So if you want to keep Zimmerman comfortable, for instance, you could partner him with his partner.
But we know that his system. Well, like I said, I'm going to stop here because they're not going to be playing his system anyways.
Let's say a grenade goes off.
They're going to be going with the 3-man back line now.
Yeah, for one game, Brett. For one fucking game. That's it.
We don't know if it's one game.
And we don't know.
Friendlies.
Could be a 3-5-2. We don't know. We don't know what form of the back three it's going to be yet. He just said, I want to try out a back three. Which, by the way, this is what this show's about, right? And the guys at I can never remember the new name of their show. Jimmy and Heath and Charlie. In Soccer We Trust?
Yes, it is.
In U.S. Soccer We Trust? In U.S. Soccer We Trust? I can never remember it. It's way too long of a name. They need to fix that, I guess. I don't know. Maybe my brain's old and can't handle, a podcast.
In Soccer We Trust. A U.S. Soccer podcast.
Okay. Well, they were so excited about this back three experiment. I'm like, really? That's what you're excited about? I mean, seriously. There might be an opportunity to use that in the World Cup. But if we do use it regardless, it's not going to be something we're used to. So it's going to be something where you're just going to be, I don't know how much you can learn between now and then about playing a different formation. I mean, you can, but how many games and friendlies do we have to work on that 3-4-3 before the World Cup? He probably will try it in one game, be my guess. Give it a shot. And he's not going to try it with one of the best left center backs in the world, Brooks. He's going to ignore Brooks. Although Brooks has been playing straight up CB in a back four the last 2 games for Wolfsburg. Doing well. But problem is we play such a high press and a high block. Again, we've said this 1,000 times that you can, the opponent can play their center forward right on the center line. And as soon as they get possession, just boot it over Brooks's head and let their center forward outrun Brooks to the ball. But we can't have that. So that's why one of the reasons amongst a handful that Brooks is not going to be there. My point was that should be a new formation test. That's a given. My question is let's see, Jose Lopez, 3 in the back, no Brooks. What's the point? Exactly. I don't see the point. But they're going to do it. But I don't think that's a big deal. That's not like what's essential going into the World Cup. Because not only do you need to know how to play a different formation, you need to know how to play in a different way. Otherwise, everybody knows how we're going to come out in a 4-3-3. We're going to, do some high press, some very, we got those cues that let us know when to press and not to press. But we're going to, it's not exactly Marsh pressing, but or Red Bull pressing, but it can look that way sometimes. But go ahead.
I was going to say, I think trying a different formation wouldn't be too overly complicated for the players who probably have played various variations of formations their entire professional
Adams lives. Had to do that at Leipzig.
Yeah. Yep. So I'm just saying, and I bring it up. So we were one of the big talking points that we were going to bring up here is basically as the title of the show says, one thing that Gregg Berhalter would do differently before the World Cup, or should incorporate for the World Cup.
It's called a different style of play, i.e., can he learn how to get his team to play a low block and play on the counter? That we've never seen
with Berhalter.
Right. We haven't seen it since Bob Bradley, really.
More or less.
Well, Klinsmann played that way in the World Cup, and it worked for us.
Oh, yeah.
Got us out of group stage. Low block.
It's just
mid to low block, counter.
And so I know whenever these make-believe situations occur, and we talk about different formations and stuff like that, because during qualifying, it never was going to really change.
No.
But, he's even talked
about
let's
change it during the World Cup.
Exactly, yeah. But I know it's almost a meme at this point when I always bring up the empty bucket, the 4-2-2-2. But again, that is basically what you're describing. We sit back on the fence, we shut them down, and then we take our chances on the counterattack. Which is how we did with Bob Bradley. It worked well against Spain and some of the other big boys.
Well, you can play that way in a 3-6-1, you can play that way on the counter in a for a basic flat 4-4-2.
3-5-2, if anything, because that's more or less what that is, anyways.
Yeah, I mean, you could play all kinds of different ways, actually, and play on the counter. So it's not necessarily the formation that's an issue. I mean, obviously, if you're playing a 4-1-4-1, you can actually play counter with that too. So, because we did play that in the World Cup, Kyle Beckerman is the 1 in front of the 2s, in front of them. And then you had our guys out wide and then 2 forwards, right? So I don't know. That's very frustrating to hear that his main focus and that they're excited about that the 3-4-3. Well, that's the empty bucket. Yeah.
Bring it back.
Farah, bring it back. I liked it under Bradley.
Well, I mean, to your point and to my point as well. It's just it's a different take. It keeps the opponents on their heels, because if we go in there going with that 4-3-3 that we always play, it's predictable. The opposition can figure out how to counter it and how to deal with it. It's
very predictable. Yes.
So you mix it up from time to time. You not saying that we need to do a crazy change whenever, but when we're playing against a better opposition, you go with the 4-2-2-2. You have more defensive pressure, especially in that center of the park. And you look at somebody like a Pulisic and Arena ahead of them, playing up to insert 9 here plus Weah.
Kind of similar. You could do that in a 4-2-3-1.
Yeah.
I mean, except for instead of there being 2 center forwards, you got a center forward and CAM right behind him. So a second striker. You could do it that way too. But I don't think that's what we're going to see. And if we honestly go into the World Cup with no plan on how to play a low block at all, or a mid block, or do what Bob Bradley did to Spain in the Confederations Cup when we beat them, then once we have to play a team that's much, much, much more skilled, better, older, wiser than us.
We nearly beat Brazil doing the exact same thing.
I know. We should have beat Brazil, but we choked in the second half.
Yep, pretty much. We went into that halftime 2-0, and I'm like, holy shit, it's going to happen. And I'm like, fuck.
I was freaking out, dude.
Yeah.
I was so excited. Ryan, thank you, man.
For $5, appreciate it.
Yeah, remember when we played a back 3 with the 2 target strikers? Smiley face. Nothing like that Zardes DK tandem.
I bitched about that game so hard. I'm like, why are we playing with 2 strikers who play the exact same role? And that's why I said insert target 9 here plus Weah when I said 2-man, because that's what made the Bob Bradley empty bucket work so well. You had Josie and then you had Davis.
Yeah,
and they're 2 different strikers.
Totally different strikers,
and they work so well together. So now I guess in Confeds, Davies I think was probably recovering from his injury.
Yeah.
That was a bit different. But the empty bucket was so efficient because you had 2 completely different strikers playing the different roles, and it worked.
Yeah, wow. I think Landon was out left, Dempsey was out right, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
I think Davies was up top. And that breakaway goal, Landon cut inside. And who fed him the ball? Davies? Was that Davies making that cross?
In which game?
Versus Spain.
It couldn't have been Davies. I think Davies was recovering at that point.
Oh, yeah.
Scar injury. So it was Josie and then who the fuck played?
God, I cannot remember who was on that breakaway. I can
was
only
it Buttle?
Can only remember Landon Donovan right now. I don't know. I don't think so. Chris Gary, $4.99. It's as if a 2 striker formation is blasphemous nowadays.
Absolutely,
they can't really work, but now it's about the 3-man midfield, wing backs, etc. Bring back, 2 9s. Yeah, but this has happened, Chris. Throughout history, like there's
just like fashion.
It is. It really is.
Comes and goes.
For a while, everyone played a 4-4-2. I mean, literally almost everybody played a 4-4-2 in England. And then some guys came in and tried a 4-2-3-1. That was hot for a while. Everybody's playing that. Bob's empty bucket was hot with teams that like to counter. We see some weird stuff out there, but not a lot of 2 striker tandems. You're correct. And that is sad. because there's nothing lonelier than being the only center forward.
So everybody's saying that it was Davies.
I thought it was. So that must have happened after.
Must have just happened after, yeah.
Because there was the Confederations Cup, then he had his accident and he didn't make the World Cup team.
I thought the accident occurred. Was it before the World Cup? Like literally before?
Well, the Confederations Cup was the year before the World Cup. It was the warm up.
I thought it was during qualifiers that he got injured.
Nope. Well, yeah, it might have been. I don't know. Were there more qualifiers after the Confederations Cup?
Great question. Don't know.
I don't know. We don't need to get a fucking calendar out or anything, but I mean, memory serves me. It happened maybe 6 months, 4 months, 7 months before the World Cup, and we were still thinking about hoping he could get, fixed up by then. But I know Bob was hoping he could get himself back, but it turned out he was never the same player.
So it looks like it must have happened just after the Confederations, more or less.
Okay.
Like a month or so after. Okay.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah. By the way, Chris, thanks for the $5. I don't know if we mentioned it already.
Appreciate it. Word.
So yeah, clearly, obviously, we're talking about when it comes to the one thing that Greg should try is obviously the different formation, which is what he's trying to do, but we may not necessarily agree with the tactics behind the different formation. Maybe he's looking for a slight variation of his style already, and just maybe make a minute change here and there type of thing to make it easier on players. I don't know if that's the case or not.
Playing three in the back is such a goddamn generic thing to do these days. It's like the hot thing to do. I swear to God, any team that's having issues with getting forward, they want to make sure their wings can get forward and don't have to worry about playing defenses. They play three in the back. That's what everybody's doing now. That's why it is so far hard to find competent left backs and right backs anymore, because everybody's playing a back three. Nobody has to defend anymore except for that back three. He was a much better player than he is a commentator.
Not Davies. So have you watched you said you watched the Soccer We Trust when he was on there with Parkhurst and everything?
I did not watch the one with Parkhurst.
Oh.
No.
That was one I think they had a snippet.
Yeah,
they had a snippet out today. It was like 3 minute long snippet. And apparently the entire conversation was meant to be about the defense, about Miles Robinson's injury and stuff like that. And before they got Parker's take on it, Davies brought up a topic about the nine, and Heath Pierce is like, you like what he did there? We took the point of the whole conversation. That's why we're including another defender here to talk about defense, and he made it all about the striker. And they kind of like jokingly gave him a bit of a ribbing for that, and it was fun to watch.
The thing about those guys, I know they're former pros and all that. I think sometimes their own experiences blur their ability to see some very obvious things. And that happens to a lot of people. They're too inside. They're too inside to see outside. And that's what I notice sometimes on that show. I think most of what they say is great, and I love it. I love their insight, especially when they're like, well, when I was a player, this is how I would have handled that, or this is what I would do. But sometimes their opinions are a little insular and a little too insider baseball. And it's not from a very transparent eyeball sort of way of looking at the world. Omniscient. and critical. Not critical enough sometimes for me, but hey, we love those guys. We just disagree. We don't agree with everybody. How many times did I disagree with Tactical last show? At least twice, I think. And it happens. Do you think Tact texted me up and said, hey, dickhead, quit calling me out on your show? No.
That's going to be our next show, actually.
We're going to have a
recorded show after this, guys, is us pulling up all of Derek's conversations, DMs.
Disagreements with every player.
Derek, quit being a dick.
I've yet to receive a text from any of those guys that says quit being a dick. So, hasn't happened. Ryan C., thank you, man. You are really lathering us up tonight. would love to see a video looking at our previous 2 World Cup squads and seeing who would make it on our current squad to Qatar, i.e. Carter Clark. He might as a backup to Adams, maybe, but that backup would really be Bradley.
If it was Bradley in his prime, absolutely.
Yeah. Prime Bradley would be the backup to Adams, or even start ahead of Adams.
I was going to say, could be contending depending on the time of year.
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking about Bradley in Italy, when he was known as Captain America there. Or Dempsey is always making my team. Always. Sure. I don't care. He's my 9. Or my...
I'd still bring Donovan back.
Yeah, well, we're not getting into that. You know how I feel about Landon. But so we're talking, 2 cycles ago before this cycle. I don't know.
You have to remember, looking at the current squad now, there are still some players that we're sitting there going, are we really calling this person in?
Yeah.
We talk about Ariel and Morris. And Morris prior to now, I don't know. I don't know how much more improved he's gotten outside of watching the Champions League stuff. But, obviously we talked about it the last couple windows when he was included. He was more or less kind of like a stiff board. He could make those straight runs, but he couldn't do any cuts. So, I mean, same in this 4-3-3. I mean, would you take Morris, or would you take a Donovan, or would you take a Dempsey?
Oh, I'm taking Donovan. I'm taking Donovan.
So I'm just saying.
I mean,
there's definitely players that could. Could be replaced.
I keep forgetting we didn't qualify for the last World Cup. Mm-hmm. So it's the 2 cycles before the last 2 World Cups.
Yep.
Brian, I'm guessing what you're saying. But yeah, there's a lot of things. Like, give more suggestions, because but I know who immediately hit my mind, and that's Donovan, Dempsey, and Bradley in his prime. Trundle's already gone by then, I think.
Yeah, somebody's bringing them up too. Trundle, Mikey, JJ Deuce, Donovan.
JJ, how could I forget JJ?
Yeah.
What am I, nuts? He's my favorite. He's my favorite U.S. men's national team player of all time.
I would probably take just about any of our goalkeepers from the previous 2 World Cup cycles.
Outside of Guzan, I mean, who was okay, but I'd take Howard for sure.
But I mean, at least Guzan was playing in EPL at the time.
But let me ask this: we take Howard, do we have to have the same manager? Because he's gonna.
Can we substitute managers too?
Because if he forces Howard to play that way, I don't think that's going to do well. But what a hell of a shot stopper. I mean, Matt Turner's a great shot stopper too. I can't believe how much better he's looking than Turner at shot stopping these days. Like Stefan, that last Man City game he played, he was just fucking awful. So it was funny when Berhalter said, well, if nobody watched that last game that Stefan played, there wouldn't be no one would be talking about there being an issue for goalkeeper. Did you watch his last game with Man City? There's an issue with goalkeeper. He couldn't even do basic shot stopping. He was like his feet were stuck in concrete, man. Didn't even react to some of those shots.
So remember, Derek, you have a short-term memory when it comes to goalkeeping issues. So this is a Berhalter quote. If a couple things went differently in that Costa Rica match, we wouldn't be talking about the goalkeepers. So let's leave it be. The goalkeeper, we're fine, guys. That's not our concern.
We were already talking about goalkeepers before that game. And, Jesus, I'm sorry, but Stefan does not look confident for Man City when he got to play. So he looks weak. He looked weak. He looked not conscious of what was going on. Yeah, I mean, you could call him rusty, but he just came off playing with us a bunch of games, which is why they decided, well, we're going to give him this big game. Mm-hmm. And they gave it to him, and he sucked. So he made horrible pass, too, in that game. Just an absolute horrible outlet pass where he didn't get it out from underneath his feet. And instead of being sneaky and tricky and trying to go wide, he should have just blasted that fucking ball out of there. But I can't remember who got it. But yeah, they just took it straight from him and put it in the goal. That was
there's definitely an issue of goalkeepers trying to get too cheeky with shit instead of just, and the defenders in the same sense. Sometimes it's better to just dish the ball out, get rid of it.
It's like this. Hello, Stefan. You are not Anderson.
Yeah.
Do not try to be. You're not Allison. Don't fuck around back there. All right. If you got to clear it, clear it. It's better than getting scored on and being embarrassed in front of 30,000 people. All right. You want to take questions? Did you have anything else that Gregg should do? To me, that's the key thing. Know how to play in a different way. That's number one.
Not just a different formation, but in a different style.
Got to be able to play a different style.
Because what happens
ball.
if you come out there with that 4-3-3? It just simply doesn't work, and you need to adjust. But your team's not used to adjusting to play, like you said, a more defensive style, and then work on that counter. Low block, and then work on that counter. But they're not used to that, and then we're like, you're like, well, you're gonna force a square peg in a round hole.
Yep. And, you play a team like Argentina or whomever we could bump up against in this World Cup. Do the math. I can't remember the brackets. But, I mean, there are teams that are we're not going to be able to compete playing a 4-3-3. They're going to play a 4-3-3, and they're going to be a lot better at it than us. And they're going to know what we do. Because what we do, unless Gregg's hiding it and keeping it for just the World Cup, is so predictable. It's so easy to cover. It's so easy to force us wide and clog up the middle on us and have us just kick these hapless crosses in all day. That's what they're going to do to us. That's what Bob Bradley did to Spain in the Confederations Cup. Al Weinstein. Thank you, Al, for tolerating my BS, keeping it real, and because I like my clitoris. I don't think that's how it's spelled, Al. I think he spells it with a K.
You'd actually just want to leave the C off, actually.
Yeah, it's just clitoris.
Yeah.
Mike clitoris.
But, you did make Derek say clitoris, so.
I don't have any problem. It's part of the human body. It's not a bad word.
Thanks for the 5, Val. Appreciate it.
It's like penis or, any of those words. Vagina.
All right, before we get into more questions here, I wanted to bring up this chain. I thought was pretty fun to follow through.
Why is it that all the guys that are making the comments are Italian, have Italian last names?
Well, this is a perfectly fine conversation starter.
No. I think it's funny. It's like Giannone did the other one. Now we got Calabrese.
Now Alex follows us too.
No, I mean, great
old
name.
Chicago guy.
I love these strong Italian names. I wish I had a nice, like there's always been this talk about when my family came over, maybe we should have, we could have changed our name to RICCI, but why the fuck would we do that? Because that Ricci, that is an Italian name. And people would sometimes when I tell them, I introduce myself, oh, my name's Derek Ricci. And they go, oh, Ricci, you're Italian. I'm like, no, Ricci. I'm English. Nah, it's boring. All right. Actually, Isle of Man. I'm Manx. All right. Alex says, rumors have been swirling. We did this one.
Well, I know. I'm bringing this up because we have a fun little thread after this. But he basically talks about the rumors swirling that Malik Tillman was going to choose or is going to represent the United States in the upcoming window. That's the dual net. We talked about this last live stream, I believe.
Right, because Gregg said he's going to at least include one person who's never been called up before who's a dual net. So people are saying that's probably going to be Malik Tillman. Even though he doesn't really play a 9 for Bayern when he comes on, he plays more as an attacking winger or center attacking midfielder. CAM is his actual spot. We don't play CAM. We don't play a 10, so I don't know how he fits in. But I guess you could play him as an 8 or a winger.
It's like the 1980s mustache he's rocking.
It's badass. All right.
Yeah. So we have a Mexican fan here called Emerson. He says, why would he join the U.S.? Why would he join finished USA over Germany?
Because he doesn't have a fucking chance in hell, Emerson, of making the German national team.
Take finished off, and that's a legit question. You can ask that. That doesn't bother me. Why would he choose the U.S. over Germany? That's legit.
No,
and
but he has.
Your point.
No, Brett. No, that's not true. Look at the symbol at the end. The laughing, crying.
Yes, I know. I'm saying if you would have left the finish off and even taken the crying face off, it would have been a legit question. But obviously, he's not looking for a legit question. He's looking to troll.
No, he's looking to be a dick fuck. That's what he's looking to be.
So, but yes, and then Tech says, "Hey, when was the last time you beat that Finnish team you mentioned?" So then he says, after smacking the U.S. for 20 years straight, you guys finally won. Wow.
Oh my God, this guy's not even a mild historian, is he?
Not even. He's got some rose tinted glasses from Mexico.
These are the kind of people that make me want to smack people. This is why I'm not on Twitter. This kind of guy irritates me. Not only is he uninformed, he's also extremely proud of himself and thinks he knows something when he knows shit. He knows dick little about anything.
So Not That Way says 20 years straight, and then he posts the GIF or the meme that has all the Dos Cero victories.
Who posted
Not This Way, or Not That Way.
Not that way.
And so he posted that, and that's not obviously not 20 years of dominance by any means.
No.
But he also says, Emerson follows that up and says, "Congrats on finally beating Mexico after 6 years."
Oh,
and to his point, that's about a 5.5 year gap.
Yeah, we had the Rona too.
So yeah, well, yes, you bring to my point, because he follows it up immediately and says, "Funny how they stop replying." So my response was, well, let's be fair. It was about 4.5 years because we lost a year and a half to no games due to the beer bug. And in that time period, Mexico went on a 4-2-1 win, lose, draw in all comps. One of those losses happened to be the Nations League final. Dominance waxes and wanes. Well, but you know what? That was 11 hours ago.
It's too rational.
There's no response. Funny how he stops responding.
Yeah, that's too rational. Couldn't respond to that. So, yeah, that makes sense. God, these people are just like so. I don't know what they're paying attention to, but Malik Tillman doesn't have. He has maybe a 10% chance of making the German national team going forward. Maybe. All right. As much chance that Julian Green did when he got playing time for Bayern.
A lot of people making that same reference to him being the next Julian Green.
Yeah, handful of minutes. We already have an example of the other Julian Green. It's his brother, Timothy Tillman, who plays with Julian Green at Greuther Fürth. Now,
split games.
Yeah, well, sometimes they've played together recently because I guess, I don't know, they're getting ready to lose a bunch of players, so of their better players. I don't know what's going on at Greuther Fürth, but they're awful. Let's just be honest. Yeah, so, I don't know if it's going to be Malik Tillman. It could be Folarin Balogun. I don't know. And it might even be Alan Sonora. But, yeah, that's a funny argument. That guy's Emerson. Dude, quit being so fucking arrogant about your opinions. Jesus, dude. Go light. Well, I'm glad Tactical jumped in there, though.
Yeah. Let's see here. Just scrolling through some of the questions here before I jump into Twitter here. Sean says, Derek, the hot takes are the best part of Twitter.
Yeah, I know. That's why people get attention there. I don't do hot takes on Twitter. Derek, you're getting too old, and the trolls love making your blood boil. Well, dude, that doesn't really make my blood boil. If anyone's actually ever seen me upset and angry.
That was quite frankly, that was even kind of weak for your podcast rants. You've gone on hotter rants than that. I'll put it that way.
Believe me, my blood pressure isn't going up at all. To me, it's entertainment. Like, I'm entertaining myself. It's very weird. I don't know how to explain it, but my blood does not boil. There are other things that make my blood boil, but I'm not going to get into them here. But they're really about serious life things, and that's a bummer. I don't want to talk about some serious life things that have happened in my life, or the guy who pushed me off my bicycle in college because I was wearing the wrong hat. And he thought I was a FAG, quotes. I'm like, what the hell? Pushed me off my bike, dude. Drunk motherfucker, too. Drunk college motherfucker. And I was in college, too, at the time. And I won't get into the story, but I wrestled state, and he lost that battle. In fact, I have scars on my knuckles that are still on my knuckles from his teeth and his face. So there's that. I know. I'm the tough guy now. I'm acting like a tough guy. All right. Chris Gary, do you still hate Billy Joel? I never hated Billy Joel. Actually, many members of my family living in Montauk, New York, were invited to his wedding at Christie Brinkley. and they think he's a splendid guy. They know him personally. They're neighbors with him. They live on some golf course out there where he has some summer home or whatever. I don't know if he lives there anymore. I never met him personally, but they seem to think he's a wonderful guy. And he didn't grow up long from where I spent 5 years of my life in New York. And I liked everything up to the Nylon Curtain. And then after that, I stopped listening because, well, I didn't stop listening. I listened, and then I heard things like, "You didn't start the fire." And I went, this guy's fucking awful all of a sudden.
Yeah, Derek's favorite song is Uptown Girl.
I like that song. It's all right. I can live with that one. That one's not so bad.
I'm not being a dick.
That's one of his 50 sounding songs that are actually good. All that other doo-wop shit he did, that's horrible. Hate all that shit. The longest time. Now, dude, just stop it. I don't want to hear don't. That's too far in the 50s. That's like barbershop shit. Latoris is back. The Indy 11 scarf is covering up a bunch of holes in the wall. No, actually,
Derek's getting so upset with all the trolls that he's punching holes in his walls.
There are posters up in other rooms that are in fact covering up holes in the wall. And what was that from?
Piano Man was a good song. I like that song a lot.
Yeah, but it's so fucking overplayed when it comes on. I'm like, oh God, again? I got to listen to this for the 100,000th time when I'm driving. I'm listening to the radio, go to my parents' house. And it's like, dude, I can't do this song anymore. It's like Stairway to Heaven. I can't do it. Is it a good song? They're both good. They're both good songs.
No,
but
Stairway to Heaven.
I just can't do it. We are strictly a 70s Joel cover band. Well, that's not too bad. Not too bad, Sam. I mean, I could probably live with that. I particularly like some of the 80s stuff, too. What, Glass Houses? That was a good album. There's some good stuff in the 80s, too. But, man, after Nylon Curtain, that shit started falling off fast. Christian Pulisic has already played really well in a 3-4-1-2 for Chelsea. Gregg has indicated a willingness to try out a back three, but hasn't hinted at a two-striker formation. Do you think there's any shot that Gregg would try something like that? And who would you like to play there? Play where?
I'm guessing where the Pulisic played for Chelsea. More or less the quote-unquote 10, if you will.
I mean, if we did the 3-4-1-2 and Reyna was healthy, I'd put Reyna at that one.
100%. Yep.
And then I'd kind of play Pulisic up there with another striker, with maybe Pepe, or let's say Haji Wright kicks ass. Now you have two different types of strikers. You got a speedy, quick striker, and then you got the kind of, well, now not that Wright's slow. He's not, but he's also 6'2" or 3", and he's going to be good in the box. So you got everything covered.
But yeah, with Reyna, and you'd have that 9, you have that speedy. So you'd have the Pulisic and Weah option for the speedy player, and then you'd throw in your target striker or your right, or Pepe, or whomever.
Can I just say that a 3-4-1-2 is very, very, very aggressive. 3 in the back, and Chelsea can get away with that. Because, well, actually, they haven't been getting.
They have some good center backs.
They haven't been getting away with it recently.
It's
because they do have a lot of injuries, and so the wing backs in that 4 have not been good enough. But I don't think that's what we would play. I think we're more likely to play a 3-5-2 if we played 2 on top. Or
that's more or less the same thing. Then I guess it depends how you handle that center 3 of the 5. You could play with a 10 type player, and Aronson plays that for Salzburg, and you could have Reyna play that position. Hell, you can even throw Ferreira at that point, because that's technically what he's used to playing anyways, is more or less that second striker 10 type role.
I'm not putting it past Gregg of playing that 3-4-1-2. Trust me, Gregg thinks we're good enough to play a 4-3-3 against anybody. So there you go.
Play our game.
It doesn't matter to him if it's England or France, Mexico. It doesn't matter. Mexico, yeah, that worked. France, England, 4-3-3 the way he plays it currently could be a nightmare for us. It really could be. Jose, he needs to learn to adapt when his strategy isn't working. and play Gio or Aronson at the 10. We don't play a
Literally just
10.
Well, we literally just spent the last 3 minutes talking about that.
Oh my God. And on Jimmy's show, they keep referring to both of the wingers as 10s. It's like, do you
Both
guys
wingers?
what? Yes. They refer to the wingers as 10s. Like we're playing a 4-3-2-1 or something. Give me a break. That's not what we play, guys. Can we stop calling the guys out wide 10s? Please? Jimmy, stop it. I don't know.
I guess Gio and Pulisic like to pinch in and back a bit in the center, so you could claim that at times. It looks like that. Not that we're playing that, but that's also player choice. Whereas then when you have Weah in there, Weah hugs that line and attacks that back line.
He's a winger.
He's a winger.
Now, Pulisic does pinch in, so he gets a chance from opportunity to play a 10 on occasion. Yes, I'll give you that, but I still wouldn't call him a 10. I wouldn't. So there you go. And okay, sorry, that triggered me. And make up with Brooks, but if I had to choose one, thanks to current events, he needs to sit down with Brooks in Chicago and have a hot dog and beer. Oh, good Chicago dog, and move on from this beef. Oh, I see what you did there. Eat some beef to get over the beef. I like it. I like that, Jose. No, I mean, listen, I don't think that's going to happen. I think we've seen Brooks acquiesce. We've seen him put out really nice tweets and, suck Berhalter's man marbles, and it's not making a difference. He's been the nice guy. He's tried to cuddle up to the nuts, but it's just not working. And I don't think that's going to happen. Even with this injury to Miles, I really don't. Now, like I said, there's a crack open now. If another guy gets injured, now we're talking desperation time. And he's like, do I want a guy who's bad in the locker room that nobody likes on this team to be back on the team? Maybe I'm going to have to do it. I don't know. I haven't heard any of the players say, yeah, we love John Brooks. Not a single one. Even when he was on the team, I never heard of any of them say John Brooks was he was our leader in the back. I've heard that from other guys saying that about Zimmerman, but not about Brooks. Never heard it. And maybe that's because Brooks yells at them when something goes wrong. Like in a nasty way, too. Gives them the old Grinch face. What the fuck are you doing?
Nate wants to extend a thank you to you for, I'm guessing, going off on that our wings are not 10s comment.
Thank you, Nate. I'm not sure why they can't figure that out. I really can't. I have posted several times on their show while it was live saying this is not right. And no one replies. So I guess they just said, fuck this guy. And then they probably blamed Jimmy for me being on the show. They're like, why did you fucking go on their show? Now this dickhead shows up to all our shows and makes comments.
Well, they took my comment once. Maybe they don't know who I am.
There are a lot more Bretts than Derek, so that wouldn't surprise me. But I know goddamn Jimmy knows who I am. So they take my questions all the time, but not the critical ones. They are like, hey, this formation ain't happening, guys. This is not happening. Well, they don't post that one. So
okay, so there's okay. So first off, Casanova says that Paredes says at some point Paredes said that he loves Brooks. I don't know. I didn't hear that, but I figured I brought that up since you were asking that question. Is anybody really saying that?
That's fine. They're teammates. Yeah. But Paredes isn't going to make the national team.
Well, maybe he was going to make the national team, but then he said that about Brooks, and Berhalter's like, let's bring it back a bit now. So Tactical wants to talk about Diego here. Buenas.
Oh my God, he's coming back apparently.
Oh, yep. I haven't heard about this, but yeah, let's see. Is it true that the Mexican Messi is going back to Mexico on loan? Hell, you go 3 to 4 years of not scoring a goal for your club. I mean, you're bound to get shipped back.
I'm sorry, but he's getting screwed at his club. He is getting so screwed. I'm sorry. Diego Lainez is a capable, quality player, and I don't know what he's done there to make himself so.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah,
rumors are Club America. Yeah,
it's Club America. Think Jimmy would come back to our show?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
He'll be back.
Yeah.
We'll get him back.
We're still in touch.
Derek, get on the phone. He's here Thursday. Tell him.
I could call Jimmy right now and he'd probably pick up, but Jimmy, those guys don't take what we say.
Put him on speakerphone. What do you think of the Mexican Messi and his return to Mexico?
I think calling him the Mexican Messi is a way to downplay how good he is. He is a great player. He's a tiny player, but he's a good player. And maybe that's another reason they compare him to Messi. But he's not that short for a soccer player. He's short compared to Matt Miazga, as we've all seen.
He's not nearly as good as the American Pele, so.
But who the fuck is that? Freddie Adu?
Yeah.
Listen, I think that Linez could get a loan to a other team, an adjacent team, a lesser team, and play. I think that he's getting used and abused there. From what I know about watching him play as a youngster and watching him develop and watching him in games versus us, when he comes on, he's like very dangerous versus us. So I don't know. He's
that's just because we played Tim Ream.
He's our Matthew. Jesus, he's our Matthew Hoppy, right? Hoppy's getting fucked at Mallorca. Lanez is getting fucked at his club in Spain. It happens. So he is 5'6". He's the same height as Napoleon. Actually, yeah, 5'6", Napoleon. So people used to say Napoleon was short. He was not short in his day and era when the average height was 5'7". Yeah. That sounds like, people.
We've had a couple hundred years of steroids in our beef.
Yeah, the average height during World War II was 5'9", for Christ's sake. So we've been slowly creeping along and growing as human beings. So I am 6'6" now. I grew an inch. Are you really 6'6"? No wonder you had a hard time making it to the pros, Tactical. Your fucking brain's too far away from your feet. 6'6", you should have played basketball. That's basketball size. You should have played goalie. I don't think you're really 6'6". Maybe you are. I don't know. I've only seen the top of your torso.
Well, yeah. What Spencer says, everyone here is 6'4".
What are you? You're like 6'3", 6'4", right?
About 6'2" to 6'3 area.
Huh?
6'2" to 6'3".
You're 6'3" because I look like a midget next to you, and I was 5'11", and now I'm 5'10" and a half.
I benefit from the fact that you're constantly decreasing. Gravity is just taking hold of you a little more and more.
Hold. It's so depressing as you get older, and you get up to the height thing in the hospital. When they're giving you your medical checkup, they're like, "Okay, 5'10" and a half." I'm like, 5'10" and a half. I was just 5'10" and 3/4 like 2 years ago. They're like, "Yep, you're shrinking. You're getting older." It happens. So, all right. But I used to be 5'11". So there's that. A lot of shrinking going on. Shrinkage.
The water was cold, Derek.
The water was cold. I know you guys aren't the biggest women's national team fans, but what do you mean? In World Cups, I watch every single game they play. But did you see the performance Madison Ivey had in her last friendly? No, I don't watch friendlies much. Could be the next Hope Solo. I hope so. Hope Solo is a badass.
They're taking on a bunch of teams where they're beating them like 9-0.
Yeah.
It's
hard to watch when we play like, I don't know, Thailand or some weird team, that we're going to crush. I don't get any pleasure in that at all. But I would recommend to Madison Ivey to not take nude photos of herself and store them into the cloud like Hope Solo did. So she needs to not follow that lead. Okay. Because that was not good. Because those got published everywhere. It was like, oh God. No more of that. All right. Okay. I really like her honesty, Hope Solo's honesty. But I didn't like those photos much.
Is that the name for a vagina? No.
It was more the butthole photos.
Oh.
I wasn't a fan of the butthole photos.
We're not the biggest fans of the I don't have much time to watch the women's national team, quite frankly.
I watch qualifiers and I watch the World Cup. I just don't watch the friendlies.
I barely have time to keep up with all the men's national team players abroad. All the MLS stuff.
It's hard.
And I would probably fall if I had to pick up something else. I'd probably pick up Indy 11 again. And it's just It's all getting pushed further back. Time is
we can't even
tough.
follow the team we created. We started. We helped create.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I mean, we did for a good 4 or 5 years, but then, you know, life happens, shit happens. And, you know, there's only so many hobbies you can have after a while. And my biggest hobby is obviously U.S. soccer, but then I've got a lot of other hobbies too. So I was war gamer. I was go ahead.
Yeah. Just because Mitch goes through the effort of coming up with the names every week. Eden Loads. That's his name this week. Eden Loads.
Eden Loads. Eden Loads of what?
Of what? Indeed.
Okay. We got more questions?
Of course.
Oh my God. All right.
Here's Brett W. My alt account. I had to come up with one apparently. People have come out and said that. Like, are you an alt account? Are you a sock puppet?
We don't do that here. No time at all. We barely have time to do what we do now. Yeah. Try some type of formation with a 10. Hey! Good idea.
Well, the funny thing, this is the third question or comment that's had the same concept. Maybe that's what Berhalter needs to do. He needs to get somebody that's going to connect the midfield to the two strikers. If we play a two-striker tandem.
Yeah, I mean, we could play a 4-2-3-1 and play the middle of the three as a CAM. So there you go. Also, on the question note, are there any comment criticisms Berhalter gets that you guys think are either unwarranted or exaggerated? Oh, a lot. Yes. Like, he only has one testicle. I've heard that one.
Clearly, he has 3 guys.
That he looks like a penis head. Oh, wait. I put that one up. That was when he was using that background thing for a couple of interviews, remember?
Yeah.
And it would make his head look like a cone head.
Super foggy in the background, just blurs it all out. That way you can't see the people in the office across the alleyway, doing it.
Yeah. Michael Cameraman heard about that, and it went through Twitter cycles and stuff, and so they stopped using that background. Honestly, that is what happened. That's what happened. They didn't want him to be, because we even had one of our thumbnails for our shows, and the thumbnail had a penis on his head. Remember?
Yes, I do remember that.
And I wondered, is this too much? No.
Most. It was right with our MO.
I said, "Fuck it, I'm doing it."
So I guess my serious take on this, is there any common criticism that he gets that is unwarranted or exaggerated? I think the only thing that's unwarranted is when you flat out come out and say, he's garbage, he's trash, without backing it up. I'm not saying that he's not garbage or he's not trash. I'm just saying back it up with something. And my stance as far as a fan is concerned, if you have any bit of criticism, like, I think he's trash because he constantly plays his 4-3-3 and doesn't vary it up at all.
And it's predictable.
That's a valid complaint.
It is.
By just saying he's trash, that's not a valid complaint. You might have reasons why you think he's trash, and that you can end up making it a valid complaint. But I think any form of complaint is a valid complaint, and it's a valid criticism. Again, you might not necessarily be 100% right, or that might be your opinion, and you're warranted that opinion.
So, and here's the thing about opinions, Brett. If you start your tweet with, Gregg Berhalter is a dumb motherfucker, and then you have like 10 points to prove why he is.
Yeah.
A lot of people are not going to read your 10 points because they're done. The pro Berhalter people are done reading what you said.
It's a dumb motherfucker at the bottom instead. XYZ, yes. He's a dumb motherfucker.
Right. Or A, B, C, D, E, F, he's trash. But, don't do it the other way. I will stop reading your shit if it starts with he's trash. Because honestly, that's not the way good arguments are built. You make your argument, and then your conclusion is Gregg Berhalter is not good enough to be the United States men's national team coach. And here, all the things above just prove this conclusion. And that's how good paragraphs are written, by the way.
Yeah.
You have an opening sentence, then you back up what you're saying, and then you have a conclusion.
So,
sorry, the English teacher, and he came out there.
Noun, verb.
Well, no, that's sentence structure. That's different.
So yeah, I guess, and this is the one reason why whenever we listen to any of the interviews with Berhalter, not necessarily what Berhalter says, but like the questions that are addressed to him. That we brought it up earlier, where the guy on the ESPN one says, "Well, how do you deal with all that noise?" And you basically just took every ounce of criticism that's going his way, and you're just chalking it up as noise. It's not real. These just people chattering on the interwebs. That's the stuff that irritates me.
Can somebody tell us?
You're disregarding the fan base and their opinions. It may not be warranted. They may be passionate, and that's maybe their way of expressing it. But it's a valid criticism.
Can somebody tell us Scott's last name that hosts ESPN, the late night show, Sports Center on ESPN? Scott,
bald glasses,
bald guy. Fuck.
It'll come up. Keep talking.
Can't remember. I can't believe I can't remember his name. Number one. All right, so
I gotta. Oh, so this is the second time I've seen it. Van Pelt.
Thank you, Scott Van Pelt. How hard was that?
Lemon Party posted something I have to post.
All right. Berhalter wears a turtleneck to look uncircumcised. I think
Christ, that's good.
His being born in my era would probably mean that he was circumcised, because that was commonplace.
That's why he wears the turtleneck, though, to look at.
Commonplace in the 70s. So it wasn't just a Jewish thing in the 70s. Like, everybody got circumcised. It was just something that was common medical practice at the time. Now it's a choice. It's back to being I think it was probably a choice then, but back then doctors said yes to avoid infections and all this shit, and make sure his penis looks good. Let's circumcise him. Okay, we'll check that box. Yes, I agree. We don't want him to have a stinky penis.
You're saying the doctor checked the box of penis looks good?
Now, I'm not saying all that's true, okay? I'm just saying that's what the commonplace argument was by the medical community then. So everybody about my age, they're all circumcised. Not that that's TMI, right? Oh, God. People don't want to need to know that. So I'm pretty sure Gregg is too. Gregg needs to expand his search for more center backs this summer and maybe bring in Rosenborg's very own Sam Rogers, who is only 22. That's not going to happen, Sean.
I'd be happy with the inclusion of EPB CCV this June window. And then also bring in Scally.
Sam Rogers.
Not as a center back, though.
If you had to list him on Gregg's list of center backs, I'm sure Sam Rogers would be somewhere down there in the 50s, honestly.
He'd be above Brooks, though.
Well, yeah, he hates Brooks' face. So there you go. All right. Is that it?
Well, you can't just ask me that and say, hey, is there any more to go?
Okay. Is there any more to go?
Literally, I had no chance to bounce out. We just finished talking about it.
Okay. Well, you always let's keep these to like an hour and 15, but they've been like 2 hours. So
no, I say let's keep our live streams at 30 minutes. Remember, that's the thing.
You did say that at the beginning. That's been it's total failure. Absolutely.
Well, it's become a joke, an internal joke now. Like, hey guys, it's going to be a quick live stream. Like, yeah, good one.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, actually, Jonathan Bornstein is still available. He's still playing for Chicago.
He doesn't play that bad for Chicago, actually.
No,
he's
I was concerned. I mean, it's concerned. What is he, like 36, 37 now?
Listen, nobody gives that guy credit. He went to Mexico and played for Puebla for years and got no credit for it. He was just written off forever. And frankly, he got better at Puebla. But no one cared, and no one watched, and no one listened, and he never got called up again. So
don't worry, Jake. The live stream will be up in your subscription feed, not your video feed, because that takes apparently 11 hours for it to finally show up for searchable for the search engine. So.
Yeah, and the other unfortunate thing is you can watch it, but you can't see the chat when it first comes up.
Yeah, you have to wait till it actually gets published before the live chat shows up.
And that takes apparently 11 hours for...
From when this ends to 11 a.m. It's fucking clockwork.
Yeah, because YouTube has to make sure we're not casting some pornography on their fucking program. All right, so
the 30-minute is an internal and an eternal joke.
Yes, it is, and an external one. Okay, I saw this comment on the interview with Gregg did with Scott Van Pelt. If we go for it, do you guys think we have a legit shot to get out of the group? I would think so. Yeah.
So fate versus fate.
What does this have to do with that quote, though?
Well, that's his question. He says, "Hey, I saw this in the comment feed of that interview.
Okay.
Do you guys think we have a legit shot of getting out of the group?" Which Fate versus Fate says, "I love this country and have been deployed to Afghanistan twice for this beautiful country. However, let me be clear: leave soccer to the rest of the world. The U.S. men's team will not make it far at all. They haven't faced any good teams at all. Once they go against the top teams, they are out there. They will get destroyed."
There's only one top team in our group.
And
That's England.
I,
We only have to beat the other two.
as far as being destroyed, has the U.S. ever been like legitimately destroyed in a World Cup game, like of recent history?
Yeah, they look pretty bad in 90. Is it 98?
Okay, yeah, that's a great point. I guess that was a bad World Cup for us.
I mean,
but I mean, even taking 06, the 06-ish failure.
That was bad.
We lost to Czech Republic pretty bad. That was a pretty bad game.
We've played bad, but the score hasn't necessarily reflected.
It hasn't been a blowout. It hasn't been the Germany versus Brazil blowout.
That was a blowout.
I mean, so, and I forgot who I was listening to about this, but soccer's a funny game. This may have been Berhalter, actually. Actually, I think it was. It's a funny game. I mean, when you get into the knockout stage, anything's possible. And yes, we can come up against the Germanys and the Brazils and the Belgiums and the Argentinas of the world. And it could be a 1-0, 2-0 game. It could be a 4-0 game. But we could also win. Anything's possible.
Destroyed is too harsh.
Yes.
It's too harsh. We could play poorly and lose like 2-3-0 or whatever. But that's destroyed.
I also don't like, I also don't like the concept of the leave soccer to the rest of the world statement.
What the fuck kind of surrender is that?
Yeah.
I mean, as a guy who served for the country and been deployed twice, just like my dad served twice in Vietnam, I don't really understand the idea that we need to leave soccer to the rest of the world. Why would we do that? Why? That seems like a very, very myopic way to look at the world in general.
So it looks like our conversation as far as when we got our asses kicked, everybody's bringing up the Czech Republic game.
Yeah, no,
and it is legit. I will say though, didn't we also tie Italy 1-1 in that same group stage? And we needed to win against Ghana in order to get out. Because Czech ended up flaming out at that point.
I have no idea. I can't remember that. Well, you can look up the 1998 World Cup. I just remember it in big blobs now. Huh? Oh, you're talking about 2006.
Yeah.
Well, 2006 sucked, but it wasn't as bad. It wasn't as bad as 98. 98 was fucking horrible.
I'm pretty sure we drew against Italy in 06.
That's the game where McBride got fucking elbowed in the nose.
He had the golf ball in his eye. Yeah. I remember, yeah.
He had a bloody eye, a bruised eye, a bloody nose.
Yeah, we go.
They fucked him up.
1-1, and then we lost to Ghana 2-1. Yep.
Yeah, okay, makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, so we got to win, a loss, and a tie. Or no, 2 losses and a tie.
2 losses and a tie, yeah.
Not a good World Cup.
It was not a good World Cup. And it kind of come and go like that, but...
And it was Bruce's farewell game. He was out after that.
Mm-hmm. No, then he came back. And then he went out again.
Yeah.
I just saw that
He's going to be forever stained by that comeback.
Chris
Leggett again.
That's what Berhalter needs to do. The one thing he needs to do before the World Cup is call Leggett.
Did Leggett score this? Yes. Leggett got an assist this weekend. And it was maybe it wasn't to Dwan Jones, but Dwan Jones got a goal for the Revs. So it's not too bad. I mean,
thanks, Jose, for that.
Leggett's playing pretty well for the Revs, but I think he's out of Berhalter's plans at this point. So
yeah.
So
Berhalter, one thing he needs to do different before the World Cup is get some psychedelics.
I got some in my fridge.
He does need to expand his mind, said Ryan.
Yes, he does. I don't think psychedelics, that might freak him out. He does need to smoke a little weed, little Jenny Kush, or something, just to give them some different ideas and see the world in a different way. But psychedelics, that'd be hard to convince them to do. I don't want them to freak out and then, go out there and play a 4-1-1-1-1-1-1-1-1-1, so
let's mix it up. Let's confuse the fuck out of the world.
I have this idea, and it's the straight line. It's the quickest route to the goal. Straight line. So we're going to put
the quickest route from
A to B.
Spot to the next is a straight line. Yep, 100%.
Resign. We're not resigning.
No. That's the one thing Berhalter needs to do before the World Cup.
That's not happening, Nicholas.
Or is that resign? Like he's going to resign with you?
Yeah, I guess there would need to be a dash,
a dash
between RE and sign. If
it's Twitter, though. I mean, grammatical errors will happen.
Yeah, this, Nicholas, I just don't think that's going to happen. Yeah, a 1-1-1-1, a 1-1-1-1-1-1-1-1. That's a lot of verticality, indeed. Although
not so much horizontality.
Yeah, it's not much verticality on the wings. You could try a 2-2-2-2-2.
Yeah, we'll be the first team to play a 4-4-4-4-4-4.
And that's a penalty.
Yeah.
Can't play with. I don't know if that's
a good idea.
It's a red card. I don't think I've ever seen. I've seen teams that played accidentally with 12 players for a while, and I've seen teams play with 10 players for a while until they figured it out. Oh shit, we're only playing 10. What the fuck? How did that happen? Like some player got ill right before the game was throwing up. The coach didn't hear about it. They played for the first 10 minutes of the game with 10 players, and then someone was like, "You didn't hear me. I said the guy was sick." Oh, I didn't hear you say that. Fuck. We're minus a player out there. All right, Chris Gary, he'll resign if we found out he was pulling a Louis C.K.
Now, are you saying that he was doing what Louis C.K. was doing, or are you saying that he's pulling Louis C.K.?
I think he's saying he's pulling a Louis C.K.
Yeah.
Yeah, and taking advantage of his high position above others and making them uncomfortable. Yeah, sure, I guess so. Actually, the straight line can work indoors. Yeah, so 1-1-1-1-1. Yep. We never played that indoors. We always played the hockey style. A 2-3. What do you guys play when you played indoors?
I hear we always play two back, so it depends on how many people are on the field at the time. In futsal, we just played a 2-2. Generally speaking, it was more of a diamond formation, but actual indoor with 5, it was sort of like a 2-2-1.
Yeah, I know teams that played that too. But when I was with FC Muka, we played a 2-3. But it actually looked a lot like what you're saying. There was a center forward, so it kind of was like a 2-2-1. But that's what everybody played in indoor soccer back then. I didn't even know futsal existed in 1987. Didn't even know it existed. 86.
Not in India. Didn't. In India at that point.
I was near Louisville.
Yeah.
It didn't exist there either.
There's just indoor soccer, and quite frankly, in India in the 80s and 90s, you played on a turf that was probably about that. It was basically green carpet
over an ice hockey.
Concrete.
Yeah, over an ice hockey rink. Concrete.
You fall,
yeah.
And you just get like a massive strawberry on your hip. Or on your knees when you fall.
Like that nasty bruise around it, too.
You lose like half your skin as you're skidding across concrete with a thin layer of carpet.
And then the next day, it's like this weird mix of a raspberry and a bruise.
Mm-hmm.
Like the yellow shit around it.
Super fucking sensitive touch.
It's definitely like playing on cement. Might as well just play in a parking lot. There's not much difference.
You respected the contact a little more in those days.
Yeah. But their slide tackling was definitely, nobody did as much as that when we played indoor soccer because it was just such a goddamn, it was like playing on tops of bricks. It really was. We were tough back then. We were tough. We could handle it.
We didn't even have those little tiny rubber black pellets back in the day. It literally was green carpet or spray painted concrete at the time.
I remember we passed the ball around on the IUPUI field. It was like, this is great.
You see the trail of the little black rubber pellets following it.
Yeah. Well, there's this big study saying that some of those things are because they're made of tire.
Yeah. The recycled tire bits.
Makes people get sick. Yeah. There's studies out there that say that. I haven't followed up on them. I don't know if it's changed or they're using different, little crumbles anymore. But
Jake, we had this too at churches as well. You basically just converted a basketball court into an indoor, which was more or less futsal at the time, I guess, if you without the term,
Yeah,
because there's no walls.
So in 1994 was the first time I ever played futsal, and I played it on bad knees. And I remember I was 20 minutes into the game, and there was this pass. I was playing left winger, pass down the line, and I ran after it, and I was running as fast as I could, dude. Fast as I could, and my right knee just said nope. Peace. And I went bam, Superman, right face first into the goddamn basketball court that we were playing on, and I knew that was it. That was it.
Every time I think about of playing on like a basketball court type field, all I can imagine is back a couple years back, there was a girls' basketball game going on. And this girl fell over and hit the ground, and one of the wooden pieces of wood on the basketball court, like it was an old rickety court, shot up, and like she impaled herself in her.
I read that.
Oh my god! I saw the video of her falling and just like coming to an abrupt stop, and I was like, "Fuck!"
That's some bad parquet, motherfucker. Get this shit fixed. Christ almighty.
That hurts me every time I think about it.
What was this? Was this court built in the 1940s? For Christ's sake.
It's the original Hoosiers court.
Yeah, unbelievable. All right. So we got more, or are we done?
That's all, folks. Please, Morton says that the rubber crumbles suck. They do. They get in your shoe and you take them everywhere you go. It's the worst.
Yeah, if you do a slide tackle, they get up all in your ass cheeks and shit, your ass crack, and you gotta, it sucks. I like this quote, by the way, from Danica Patrick's interview. A life without pain is boring. Think about that for a while. He's right. I mean, listen. It means you tried nothing, right? You attempted nothing if you've never experienced pain. And the other one is, this is the yogi said, know the past, but don't live the past. Interesting. Madison Ivy is a porn star, by the way. Oh, I didn't know that.
That would have. Thank goodness I didn't look for any highlights.
You got us. That's how little we know the current women's national team. I was like, Madison Ivy. Good for her.
I remember some people were saying that too. Like, Derek, can you go check her out? She's like, could be the next one. Oh no.
Oh man, you guys are great. All right, yeah, Madison Ivy. I don't know if I've ever heard of her, but I will check her out.
Yeah, check her stuff out tonight.
I mean, I got nothing else to do later night, so. All right. Thank you, as usual, for coming to the show. It's been an hour and 30 minutes. We will be back tomorrow with another show, but it's a segment about some of the ups and downs with some of our players right now, and so we'll get into that. And but until the next time, make sure you like, subscribe, share it with your grandma, and keep buying the shirts. Lots more. We're selling shirts, guys. I want to see one in a stadium. That's what I want to see so bad. And thank you for sending us pictures of your shirts. When we get them, we'll feature them. All right, send us a picture of you wearing a shirt. Hell, send it watching a game, wearing your shirt, watching a game. That would be even more badass. I want to know how many questions you get from people who are like, the fuck's your shirt mean?
I just like how our names are on it, actually. It's like with Brett or Derek Ritchie and Brett Corbett.
Yeah, I know. But that's what our designer did. He did that on purpose so people would know what it was. Or they'd have names attached to it. It wouldn't just be the straight red card. Although it's still, people will still ask you if you wear that shirt somewhere and they've never been to our show, they're going to go either two things. They're going to say, oh, what's that? Is that some show? What's that show? And then they're going to explain what the show is. Or they're going to go, I watch those guys. They're fucking clowns. Fuck those guys.
And your response is, and?
Yeah, so we take life in a light way. All right, guys. We'll see you next time. And thanks for showing up as usual. Good night.
Do it again. Whoop. Ah, fuck. And like it. That's way too many likes. I got a comment on a channel. Fuck. Oh. Yeah. That should probably do. It should probably do. That should probably do.
That hurt. More verticality.